Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my studio. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and check out the other videos. And if you're here for a second, third, or fourth time, thank you so much for coming back and getting creative. Alright guys, it's another fun painting for my beginner painters. So grab your supplies, transfer your traceable to your surface, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. Now on mine, I went over my traceable lines with a black Sharpie marker for those of you at home that are going to pause the video and draw what you see. If you're utilizing the traceable, you do not have to go over it with the black Sharpie markers. And just there on the screen, I demonstrated a few different brush strokes. We are using that large flat brush and the straight black paint to fill in the background. And I am using student grade paint, so we will be applying 2 layers of each of our colors today. So right now we're working on getting what I call our underpainting, our base colors on there, and then we'll do a second layer on top of it. And we do that because student grade paint's on a bit on the transparent side. It's a little thinner, doesn't have the same coverage as artist grade paint, but it's a more affordable type of paint to use when you're beginning your painting exploration. And then as you realize you enjoy painting, then I recommend stepping up to the artist grade paint, kind of one color at a time. So, but whatever you have, utilize what you have at home. It's more important to actually just get creative rather than having the perfect tools or supplies. So here I did move down to the medium flat brush to get into some of those smaller spaces. If you need to use the small pointy brush, go right ahead. And then our figurine here also has a black dress, so we're filling that in right now as well. It will get a second layer. Plus a few other areas for shadows. And then after we put these in here, we're going to go in with our 2 shades of brown. We're going to slap some burnt sienna on there and then some raw sienna on there. And feel free to pause the video, just notice where I slap it on there, and then using that same medium flat brush, we're going to go through and just blend all of those. And don't feel like it has to be perfect. You can be kind of sloppy with this, to have the colors mix and blend together. We will be doing this a second time with the next layer. This is just getting you comfortable with mixing your paint and with just applying it to the background. You guys are doing a great job. All right, so as we move into the main composition, again, we're just putting those base colors on there. And with this green paint, you can actually see that it is rather transparent, rather thin. So it's kind of nice when you see that we put the second layer on there, just how much more opaque coverage it has. So we're going to do this on both sides, and these are the stems of the flowers. And again, just doing the base right now, we'll do more shading on the second layer. And same thing, we'll be moving into the shawl next with the light blue and then the colors of the lilies, the base colors. If you happen to be holding your breath, take a big inhale, just relax. You're going to do better than you think you're capable of. Oh, and I forgot about the skin tone, so we're using that direct raw sienna to fill in the neck, the face, both the arms, and then her feet that are hanging behind her. Again, that second layer will give us better coverage. And then moving into the light blue, white with a touch of blue to make this light blue for her shawl. Um, and just filling that in. You guys are doing a great job. And then clean that brush. You do not have to paint as fast as the video. This is a time-lapsed video, but we're using a light yellow that is white with a touch of yellow, probably a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts white to 1 part yellow, filling in all those lilies. And because I did use the Sharpie marker, I can still see my outlines through them, and that's why I'm making sure that I get a second layer on there. If you happen to be using the artist grade paint, you can skip ahead to when I start the second layer, and you could actually just do 1 layer on your painting because that'll be a little better coverage paint. All right, so this is looking good. We're going to go back to the black. We're going to fill in her hair. And then I do recommend letting this dry after we get this last layer on there. And then we're going to basically repeat the process. You guys are doing a great job. So good place to pause the video, take your progress photo. Again, I do recommend letting this dry. And we're going to go back to that light blue, and that is white with a tiny amount of blue, and we'll start doing some shading on here. And even now, as you see that I apply that second layer on there, how much better, how much more opaque it covers. And it even covers those black Sharpie marker lines that I have on there. So this is kind of the nice thing about layering your acrylic paint. You can just build more volume and more opaque coverage. So once we put this light blue on there, we will switch down to the small pointy brush, and we're going to use a medium blue, and we're going to place some lines in here to kind of give the rolls of the fabric, and then we'll blend that into the base medium blue. So as you do this, just observe where I place each of these colors, the general direction and shape, and mimic that to the best of your ability on your canvas at home. This does not have to be perfect. By doing this, you are strengthening your power of observation, and that is a key skill in art and really in life in general. So, the more that you do this, the more your power of observation strengthens, and the more you observe, and the better you get. So, again, just using that light pressure, blending that medium blue into that base light blue. Um, and then we'll be moving on to our green. And again, with that green, for the stems of these flowers, we're going to fill the whole thing in with that green. I'm still using that small pointy brush, a little bit more control. And we're going to put that base in there. And just like we did with the shawl, then we'll go in with a highlight and a shadow. And our highlight will be yellow as the next color. And we'll take this left section first, and then we'll repeat the process on the other side. So you're kind of building on your skills. So here, using that pointy brush, just grab that direct yellow paint, and you can see already that it is changing and diffusing in the color as I apply it to the green. So I do recommend that you use light pressure as you do this. This does not have to be perfect. It's just giving the illusion that we've got some depth here. And if you want to get a little more detailed, you can pull up the original image and follow that a little bit closer compared to the simplified version of what I'm doing here. And you can go back and grab some of that yellow paint, add it a little thicker on there, and then we are moving into black. And I'm being kind of controlled because this is very wet paint. And just notice every couple of brush strokes, I do go back and I grab more of the color that I am using. So again, this does not have to be perfect. You're just learning to build your layers. You're learning to look at your shadows, your midtones, and your highlights as we work on this today. So going back to that middle flat brush and that green, we're going to recreate that same process on the right-hand side. And because it's a little bigger space, we have a little more detail that we'll be able to add into it. So you'll get a little more extensive with some of those shadows. So now just grabbing that black, getting those lines in there. And this isn't fully blending with the green. It's just giving the illusion, the separation of the stems for all these flowers that she is holding. And then if you need to, you can wipe that brush off, and then with light pressure, just go back over the black and squish it just a little bit into the green, or not at all. So kind of go as what you need. And every now and then, I do recommend that you get out of your chair, look at your painting from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away, assess what is working, what is not working, and then go back to your painting and change what you need to. When you look at it from this distance, this is the normal viewing distance for artwork and most things in life. All right, so moving into that yellow, kind of almost making these little squares at the base of each of these stems. And then we'll pull that color, pull the yellow into, there we go, into the base. And again, every couple of brush strokes, I am going back and grabbing more paint because our light colors do get diffused and kind of eaten up quickly when we're mixing it, doing the wet on wet blending into another color. So again, just observe where you see these lines, either on my video or on the original painting, and mimic that to the best of your ability. So cleaning the brush, moving into the black paint, and this is kind of going to the right-hand side of the yellow elements that we just added and giving that little hint of that shadow. All right, and a good place to pause the video and take your progress photo. We're now going to make kind of a light diffused color for the centers of those lilies. And that was white plus yellow and then a tiny, tiny amount of black. So we're going for kind of a grayish light yellow. There we go. And if you have to mix it again, that's okay. And if you have to mix it a second or third time and you go, oh, maybe it's not dark enough, it is okay to go ahead and add a little bit more of your black to that shadow, to the mixture, so that way you can go a little bit darker. And when I'm done with this one, feel free to pause the video and just observe kind of the general odd shape that these are in the centers of each of the flowers. We'll be putting the rest of the flower elements on top of this, and then we'll be putting a highlight on next. So this is our shadow element. The white and yellow base color was the main color, and then we will use some pure white for a highlight. All right, doing good. Again, if you're holding your breath, take a big inhale, relax. I'm proud of you for painting. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're doing better than you are probably giving yourself credit for. So be kind to yourself in these beginning stages of your painting process. What you learn in this painting will show up the next time that you paint. And what you learn in that painting will show up in the next painting after that. So this is something that just you keep building your skills with. So now we're grabbing that direct white. This is going to be the highlight on the flowers. And again, every time each new flower, I am grabbing more white paint. Because as you saw with the stems, that light color gets kind of diffused quickly. So we want to make sure that this is kind of nice and opaque white, to give us that kind of nice pop for the flowers. Because these are white calla lily flowers. All right, and again, just kind of play with the pressure of your brush. Light pressure is a little bit of a skinnier line. More pressure is a little bit of a wider line. And for these, I am actually using about kind of medium pressure. So these aren't skinny lines. They're kind of wide. And again, just getting that highlight on there so it looks like we have some nice depth for this bouquet, this collection of flowers. If you are finding that your brush is shaky as you're going to do this, that does mean you're holding your breath. So if you exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, that will make your process a little bit easier. All right, so pause the video, take your progress photo. You guys are doing great. Nope, I had one other few little spots there for the white. Sorry about that I forgot to add. And if that happens to you, it's okay to go back and add whatever you need. If you skipped a step or you missed something, this is not a linear process and this is not perfect. All right, so we went in with that raw sienna. You can add a touch of burnt sienna if you want to go a little darker, or you can stick with the raw sienna. We're going to put another layer on her feet, her arms, her face, and the back of her neck. And then we'll be adding a touch of black to the mixture, doing that shading, that dark shadow again. And then we'll be putting this on her skin tone and then blending in the shadow into the base. Here we go. So a little bit of black, and I did move back down to that small pointy brush. Give a little bit of a line, and that's kind of where the toes would meet the base of the foot. And then a little separation for the fingers. Does not have to be perfect. And then clean that brush off, and then we're going to go back to the first part and just kind of squish that in there. And when you squish that in there, that brush is going to pick up some residual black paint, and we're going to use the residual on the brush just to go into a few other areas. Again, this does not have to be perfect, and you don't have to hit every single shadow that I have put on there. Just do the best that you can. All right, and oh, yep, one more cleaning up the edge of her dress, and we'll put another little layer on there. I like that it just, again, gives a little bit more of that thickness. All right. You guys are doing a great job. I'm proud of you. Hopefully this makes you want to paint on a regular basis. This is a very therapeutic outlet to have, and I do recommend that you find a creative outlet um, monthly, if not weekly. Your rest of your life actually benefits from having a creative outlet. So hopefully you're starting to understand how important this creative outlet is in your daily life. All right, so we filled in the hair and her dress, just got that second layer on there. Doing good. Um, all right, and then going back to, oh, I forgot that little spot. Yep, so I had a blank spot on the canvas. And like I stated earlier, if you missed something, it is totally okay to go back and add it and fix it. So take your progress photo. If you want, you can fully let this dry, and I do recommend letting this dry. And this part is optional. If you do not want to do the outlines, you do not have to. This is just something that I do to help simplify the painting a little bit for my students. Um, and make kind of cleans up the edges a little bit. So again, completely optional. I am using that small pointy brush, kind of treating the brush like a pencil so that way I can make these smaller, skinnier lines and using just the last 2 millimeters of the bristles. Again, if you find that you're shaky as you do this because you're a little nervous, that means you're holding your breath. So exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas. Sorry. Um, and every couple of brush strokes, just grab more paint. You will notice that sometimes I put my pinky out and I can use that as my kind of steady pivot point. And I'm also resting my forearm against the edge of the table, which you cannot see in the video. So give those a try. And if you need to, turn the canvas sideways, turn it upside down, put it on your lap. Any kind of orientation or position that you need that makes it easier for you to make some of these lines. Adjust for what you need. You're doing great. And every now and then again, go ahead and take extra progress photos. It is really nice when you look back on those photos and very quickly see how you transform a white surface into something you painted. And it's one of the few times that we have a visual documentation of what we actually are learning. So that's why I recommend the progress photos. All right, you guys are doing good. Don't forget the little lines for, I guess, the cup part for the flower where the stamen will be coming out. And then I am adding a few lines around the figure, again, completely optional. I like it because it just kind of helps clean up those edges, makes it a little bit crisper. As you get more and more into painting, you will learn to use your shading to create the illusion of separation from different subjects. So there's always, always more to learn in painting. All right, so we're going to grab a little bit of that burnt sienna, a little burnt sienna, raw sienna mixture, giving some highlights on the hair. It does look like she has braids, so just kind of breaking up that black space on her hair and giving a little hint. Now we're going to use some yellow and raw sienna. You can use the direct yellow if you want. These are going to be for the stamen on each of the flowers, and these are basically just little dash marks. And I do wish it was a little bit more opaque, but given that this is student grade paint, in some places it's going to be kind of hard to see um, where the stamen is. So you can do 2 layers. I will not do 2 layers on the video, but you can do that at home. And basically inside each of those shadow centers for the flowers, you're going to be putting a little dash mark, a little line for the calla lily center. And if you end up adding a few more than I have in here, totally okay. If you see a few more that you're referencing from the original painting, add what you see. So you guys are doing a great job. And I'm just now realizing we didn't do the second layer on the background. I thought we did. I think on the other Diego painting we did. So if you need to do a second layer in the background, just replay the video, but adjust for what you need. I'm really proud of you guys for painting. So thanks, and until next time, cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of painting and I hope you are happy with how your paintings turned out. I'm really proud of you for getting creative. As you're uploading these to social media, please tag me at or hashtag paintwithlovejoy or email me your pictures paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. I really enjoy seeing them. I try to post them on social media to encourage other beginner painters to try the process of painting. But please share this with your community as well. Anybody who is kind of scared to paint, share your experience with them and let them know kind of how much you benefited from it and how much you enjoyed the process. So kind of share the fun. With that being said, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, things that you want me to paint in the future, please leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody as quickly as I can. And any of the future suggestions for paintings, I add that to my production list and get to them as quickly as I can. So in the meantime, please keep getting creative. Let me know how you're doing. And until next time, cheers.